Seismophobia? Well, that's a tough diagnosis. It's not even a medically recognized condition. You see, a phobia is an excessive, irrational fear. But we live on Earth. We are Earthlings, right? Natives. And we're kind of stuck here. Most of us will live every moment of our lives on its surface. And if we can't get away from something that theoretically kills those living upon it, well, then how could any rational person aware of this reality ever get on with life, function, or do anything other than collapse under the weight of dread? And if it's irrational to fear being harmed or crushed unexpectedly, horrifically, at any moment by an uncaring world, then in a way I suppose you could say that what is called seismophobia is just rationality and clear-sightedness that most people, most of the time, lack or actively seek to avoid. If you think about it, only an astronaut or spaceman alien could legitimately be correctly diagnosed with such a condition. Only for him or her might such a condition be deemed irrational. It's one of the many conditions that reveal the mass delusion and derangement on which human society is based. To be normal, to function as we say, you have to ignore or at least pretend to ignore that we live on shaky, crumbling earth. You have to act like you believe you live on solid ground. It takes distraction, illusion, a web of lies. So normal isn't necessarily healthy, but neither is living in fear. Do you know your John Edwards? Sinners in the hand of an angry God. Natural men are held in the hand of God over the pit of hell, and neither is God in the least bound by any promise to hold them up one moment. The devil is waiting for them. Hell is gaping for them. The flames gather and flash about them, and would fain lay hold on them and swallow them up. There are no means within reach that can be any security to them. In short, they have no refuge, nothing to take hold of. All that preserves them every moment is the mere arbitrary will and uncovenanted, unobliged forbearance of any incensed God. Somehow many find that a more comforting vision of an angry, vindictive God than the idea that we live in a blind, unfeeling, empty universe. Something in man abhors the vacuum, whether it be above his head or beneath his feet. I would presume that there is a deeper issue at play here, that this obsessive fear you have maybe stems from something else. Socially, sexually perhaps, a larger concern or general anxiety maybe. If you were my patient, I would encourage you to confront this fear in order to see what it may signify, or what greater, more basic fear your psyche is maybe hiding behind this more specific one. I think I want to point out the dangers of what you're talking about, though, Francis. Obsession can be positively channeled in such a way that it works itself out, but without some ongoing, regular outside perspective. It's liable to just intensify and swallow you and your whole life. Obsession and compulsion can often be most effectively treated with contextual immersion therapy and greater perspectival framing. So, that my general advice to you: flee the inquisitive man, for he is a prattler. More people worship the rising than the setting sun. But the whole purpose and end of a thing are more important than its beginning and the source. The judge who has respect of person will desert the truth for a piece of bread. You should especially beware of the slippery slopes of paranoia. Paranoia is the inevitable, final state of the narcissist. His self-absorption is more a product of his relations with others, his care for the view of him than isolation. He identifies solely with how he is perceived by others. His conception of how others do, should, or will see him becomes his sole focus, a God for whom he will bring praise and honor that confirms the worthiness of his hero worship of himself. This idea of others' idea of him. Vice often lies in close proximity to virtue. Descend and be like unto God.